What is the things that you learn by owning a horse?
Lots of things, definitely. One of the main ones would be if you want to go fast, you have to go slow. And that's something that I read before. That's what a lot of horse trainers actually say. But basically, it means that if you want to reach your goal, you should not rush too much. Or even if you're working on a project, you should take it slow, step by step, and rush. Because if you rush, it's not gonna be done good enough, or you're gonna miss some steps, and then you're gonna have to go back and redo something, and in the end, you're gonna go slow. But if you go step by step and you take your time, then you go faster. So I think that's something about it.
I think I learned a lot about the feeling of the feeling that you have to put and the feeling that you need to have before like getting up on the horse and start working, or even when you're working the ground, like first kind of control like yourself so then you can control things around you. So I think it really always now brings me my anxiety very low.
Yeah, it's all about energy, and the horses, they can feel so well if you're anxious or angry, or like if you're more excited or less excited. So that's something that you need lots of self-control, which is hard.
Yeah.
And you need to like control yourself and not be controlled by your emotions. And that's something that even when you make decisions in life, you should not make decisions out of like emotions, but more out of like a quiet, peaceful set of mind. It's a lot of controlling and patience too, right?
Yeah, I learned a lot about patience.
You have to be patient.
Because you kind of need to allow yourself first to actually like engage in that activity. So you take everything like, oh, you're about to go up on the horse,
Yeah. Another thing that I learned, and it definitely happened to us when we try to make movies or when we were suing also, is you come up with a plan and you think, okay, these are the things that I have to do, but then it never goes as planned, and that can be very frustrating. And for example, with horses, sometimes you come with a plan of like, oh, today we're gonna do these exercises, but then maybe the horse
had another plan.
Yeah, had another plan, or today is not feeling it, or something is disturbing the horse. Maybe there's too much activity or too much noise, so then you cannot execute the plan. And sometimes you can feel frustrated because you're like, oh, well, that's what I wanted to do, and that's my goal of like, in 6 weeks, my program with my horse, and we missed today because we didn't, like, things didn't go as planned. And that's the same as like suing or making movies. You come up with a plan and then it doesn't go as planned. But you have to accept that, and that's something that I remember reading something about horse trainers that say like you may come with a plan to work with your horse, but your horse doesn't know anything about your plan, and it's okay, and it's good to have a plan, but you also have to be flexible because the animals and things, they have their days that they feel good and the days that they maybe not be feeling it, or maybe you need to rework that. And I think that's the same in art. It's like, it's good to have a plan, but also to have the flexibility, because you're working, for example, in movies, that you're working with a lot of people and a lot of different factors that can change your plans, but I think you should not get attached. I think, that's the lesson, not get too attached to your plan, and accept that it's okay, there will be changes, but that's part of life. And one more thing on my side is control. We always want to control everything. Also, as artists, that's why we create our projects, right? And we're that's why we want to be directors, because we want to have control of the creative vision. That's why we want to be fashion designers. So, we create the collection that we want. And then you're horse owner, so you're supposed, you're like, oh, I want to control my horse. But sometimes, like, you have to let go the idea of wanting to control everything, because once again with horses, it's an animal. You cannot control an animal. It's a breathing animal, and he has his thoughts and his ideas and the things that he won't be. Like, you cannot be like, oh, I don't want you to like step right here and right here, don't move your head, And that's the same thing for art. You cannot, especially when you work with other people, like, as a team, you don't want to control people. You want to convince them, just like with your horse, that the direction that we all going is good and that it's gonna be good, and you want to give them the tools or like guide them to go in the direction, but you don't want to like control too much your horse, or else it's just gonna be like, if you don't control him, he's just gonna be scared. It's like, oh, whoa, what am I supposed to do now? Like, it's like fear, anxiety, or like, I don't know what to do. So you need to really guide them and then let them figure out. And I think that's also what team, like, the best way to work with people is not like micromanage them, but as artists, but more like give them a direction, and then also let them like bring their own creativity into the project or their own ideas, and don't let them feel like they're just obeying orders, but also that they are also creating. I feel like it's also the same thing in with your relationship with a horse. Like, it's good to give orders, but you should also listen, because they communicate just like other people communicate with you. Anything else?
I really like the feet thing. It's not like about just setting the mood of the horse, but the place that you could point your feet is actually where you're going.
Yeah.
So it's always good to always keep it centered to where you want to go.
Because if you don't know where you're going, then nobody does, right?
Yeah.
And then it's chaotic. That's true.
Like, the feet is very important. Even like the feet, I make an analogy even with the head, like looking down or like looking up. I feel the feet the same thing, because we are very like, we grow into this way of staying like very like low, so we stay like that with our posture and not like that, and also our feet to stay kind of like more like contracted instead of staying like straight ahead, pointing where you're going. And I think all these little things, they kind of like matter in a way, because we feel like we relax too much and we lose our first thought of being with like that composed.
Yeah, and I think also it's linked to caring about the details. Like, every little action that you think don't matter, the horse can see it, and that will give them like a signal that then you're like, oh, but why my horse is doing that? I didn't ask, but actually you did. But you did not even notice it, but the horse noticed it. And I think that's also good with when you create something, like, you have to like make sure that you're in control of, that you take care of the little details too, because that's what's gonna create the end art, And if you don't care about the little details, then you might have it end up with the film or painting that is not like maybe you envisioned, because you went the wrong direction by not taking care of those little details, because inside it doesn't matter, but it actually does.
Then you have to also like protect the vision, right? Like, protect why you came here today. And you have to stay with the right feet for that thing that you came here to do, or else it's gonna go against everything.
Yeah.
So like, you start something, you can now like go against it, turn your feet or turn your head down.
Yeah.
You have like to keep. That's what we're doing today.
Yeah. Lots of self-awareness.
And presence.
And presence. Maybe talk about that. Presence. Like, in what way? Thinking of breath.
Presence.
Yeah, it's true that if you want like your horse to listen to you, you have to also, listen to the horse, but also like be in the present. If you're too much in your mind, then you're disconnected from the reality in front of you. And which is the same thing in life, and then you disturb your whole reality, right? Because you're right here and you're not right here, so you're not even seeing what's right here, just right here. And you can miss opportunities, or it can go wrong, whatever you're doing, because you're not in the present with it. Well, that's a hard concept. It's hard to be.
And you can never elevate your conscience too much, or else you start having lots of doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can never when you're doing something for lunging the horse, you can never elevate your conscience of doing already pose after, or something like that.
Yeah, you got to be in the present, right?
Yeah, or else you just stumble across everything.
Yeah, definitely. And I think consistency is a big thing too that I've noticed is if we work with our horse consistently, then, she gets it, she understands, and everything becomes easier. But if we're not consistent, if we don't go see her, enough and don't work enough with her, then, every time we do come see her, we have to start all over again. And there's no real progression. And sometimes it's also like that when you create something, like if you're building a skill, and if you don't stay, it's easier to make progression when you're, training more often than if you do it once in a while. Then it's harder to get in because maybe you forgot already, how to do this thing, or you forgot where you stopped, you're riding, or you're sewing. So in the end, it makes you lose time, and it makes the task harder. And then it's like, oh, it's hard, I don't even want to do it anymore. So it's like lack of consistency pushes you to even be less consistent.